So we're back on the SportsMax zone and we continue to talk football as the Jamaica senior Reggae boys continue to build toward their hopes of making their second ever appearance at a FIFA World Cup at the 2026 edition of the Showpiece Tournament in the USA, Mexico and Canada. The young Reggae boys, Jamaica's under-17s, are dreaming of a trip to Qatar in 2025 for the U-17 World Cup tournament. Now, having qualified for the tournament both in 1999 and 2011, failing to advance past the group stage on both occasions, preparations have started for the young Jamaicans ahead of World Cup qualifiers set for February of 2025 via the CONCACAF U-17 Championships. A number of training camps have been held throughout the summer. One man with a huge role in aiding the team along this journey is businessman and philanthropist Omar McFarlane, who was appointed as the official ambassador for the under-17 national men's football team in May of this year, and he joins us now live in the studio. Omar, or scriptwriters are saying that you have a huge role. How big is this role and how influential can you be?
Well, thanks for having me. It's a huge role, a big undertaking. I'm excited. We're excited for the prospects and what we can do for our country and the young Reggae boys representing in our qualification efforts for the 2025 World Cup.
Yeah. What can you say so far about the preparation? Because there has been a criticism over decades that the preparation time for some of these tournaments isn't long enough. They take too long to get a squad together, and a condensed squad of 22 players. And a lot of times people complain that the Jamaicans go into tournaments like these a little behind the eight ball compared to some of the other CONCACAF teams. How satisfied are you that they are on point with their preparations?
Well, definitely satisfied. In fact, preparation started back in March. We've had several Florida-based camps. We also went ahead and we actually had 2 trips. So one of the things was we wanted to prepare the team for travel. So local team joined some of the international players, and we traveled first to New York, where we played 2 games, and then we traveled to the IMG facility in Bradenton, Florida, where we actually stayed for the weekend and had a camp there and played 2 games as well. And in preparation, we've played senior teams, we've played college teams, just to make sure that the team is very equipped with the pace of play and also the physicality of the CONCACAF play.
Of the squad members now on show, are many of the players local-based, or are they using a lot of players with Jamaican roots who are not based in the country?
So we're primarily local-based, but we're also introducing international players from the diaspora. So we have players representing coming from Dubai, Toronto.
Dubai?
Dubai, yes. Dubai, Toronto, Canada, players from Inter Miami FC, and just throughout the globe. And we've left no stone unturned. We've looked at over 200 players throughout in our preparation, and over 100 local players. We've looked at players from Mannings, from Irwin, from Malden, so every area in Jamaica and also in the world.
Yeah, so Lance asked about the team, the preparations, the camp and all of that, but can you give us a bit about your role and what is expected of you as the under-17 global ambassador?
Yes, certainly. In a short, is doing what I'm doing today, is creating an awareness in addition to getting funds. One of the things that we recognize, especially with other countries, the larger countries in the group, is that they're heavily funded. Right. Of all the teams that we have in the federation, I mean, the youth teams definitely challenged with funding. So one of the things we've done, we've created a member circle benefit that's on our social media platform. We've reached out to the diaspora to get money to raise funds, and a series of events so we can make sure that boys are prepared.
Has it been difficult getting corporate Jamaica to buy into the under-17 team?
We have ran into some challenges. We have been able to also get some folks to get on board. A lot of people are apprehensive, but I think as we continue to put ourselves out there, and especially the community work that we're doing with these young men, people are realizing, especially corporate Jamaica, that this is an impactful thing, not just for football, but just for the global community of young men in Jamaica.
Yeah, and you just breezed past the Circle Insider benefit program. I want you to talk to us a bit more for our viewers who, maybe are not aware of the information on social media. Tell me a bit about it and how people can get involved and all of that.
So what we have done, we have created several different tiers of sponsorship that you can donate to, and within these tiers come with certain benefits. One of the first things that is there is the opportunity to know the players, understand the players, and get quarterly updates of the team and what we're doing. The second benefit is an opportunity for tickets to the U-17 games. And then there's a third benefit as it goes up in the ranks is even a signed jersey from the players. It's definitely all going back to the players for travel and for just camp and preparation. We've literally camped once per month since starting in March.
Yeah.
We just wrapped up camp, and we're already looking at camp in November and camp in December.
Yeah, the role of an ambassador, well, Sidella Marley had been ambassador for the Reggae girls, and that triggered 2 consecutive World Cup qualifying achievements by the girls. Is this something that the JFF is now embracing as a template for their national teams at different levels to boost the chances, and the awareness is the word that you just used?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's something that's needed across the board, and it's something that the Federation has looked at, and including my role, it's one of the main things. I think the biggest thing especially is that FIFA has mandated and is going to have annual World Cup for the U-17.
Yes.
Opposed to in the past where it was annually. And the opportunity to make the World Cup from the CONCACAF region that has 41 countries, there is 8 spots. And the first 5 years will be held in Qatar. So if you just look at that summarization, you know, if we can have local players going to Qatar, playing in the World Cup, playing in a stage where young players are out there and they're representing their countries, it's definitely required. So the ambassadorship role is one of importance because it allows us to promote more of the youth teams and not just the senior teams.
Yeah, and apart from the U-17s now becoming annual, it's also expanded. It's now 48 countries that will qualify for the U-17s, is it?
That is correct. So previous years, they only had 2 teams coming out of CONCACAF, and then it got expanded to 8 teams.
Yes. Well, that's a huge expansion.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed, indeed. In fact, last week, there was the initial pot draw, and we were drawn and preceded along with USA, Mexico, Canada, Panama, Costa Rica, and Haiti. We were seeded in the top rank. So we will not play those countries, which is typically the stronger countries in CONCACAF, and then the other nations will be seeded accordingly. So we stand a pretty good chance of getting back to the World Cup.
Yeah, based on the new format, the group that you draw can significantly impact on your chances of qualifying, because it would be 8 groups and all group winners will qualify for the World Cup under-17 finals. So we anxiously await these groups to hear who the various Caribbean teams are going to play, because under this new format, all you have to do is win your group and you're in.
That is correct. That is correct. The group draw is going to be next week at 11 o'clock at the CONCACAF headquarters on October 24th, and we're hoping to have representation there. We have reached out where I'll be there to represent the draw, and it's an important, right? There's some luck-based. We don't want to be drawn in a group of death, but definitely in this case, it looks like we have a favorable chance.
Yeah, well, as you
Yeah.
just pointed out, based on the pots, as a seeded team, the Jamaicans will avoid the other top-ranked seeded team. So that's a good start for sure. The president of CONCACAF, Victor Montaliani, was live on our show yesterday. We had a good chat with him about football globally and also CONCACAF's position in global football. And as we had mentioned before we started our discussion, Omar, the Jamaicans did qualify for 2 previous U-17 World Cup finals. Trinidad and Tobago hosted the Under-17 World Cup finals some time ago. So the Caribbean has had an imprint in the U-17 World Cup finals for FIFA in the past. And there is a hope here that they can make their mark again. What's your background with football? And I know that you mentioned before that Freddie Butler on the coaching staff, you had known him prior to this. So his connection or your connection with him sort of triggered your connection with this team?
Yeah, that's correct. So I started a team in Florida 5 years ago, and the team was dedicated not only to improve football from the traditional pay-to-performance sport in America, North America, but also to help other young players that's in Jamaica. And what we started is the team, and we brought players up, and Freddie was one of the instrumental coach. In the first year, we were #1 in the age group in Florida, and won several national awards and trophies and tournaments. And so from that relationship, we continued throughout. And hence, when he was appointed as head coach, he reached out and he wanted me to be a part of the team.
Yeah, and how has the experience been for you so far? I know you have not been in the job for too long, But how has it been?
It's been tremendous. I think each day there's something else that I look at. I mean, not only from the football perspective, but even from 5 years ago when I brought a few players from Jamaica, and to see them now vying for a spot on the team, to go to some of the high school games, to be entrenched more into the culture in Jamaica, and having an awareness of when the high school games were playing and what's happening. So it's been a real rewarding role. I think in addition to that, we've brought the boys into different schools. So this weekend we went to 3 different schools where we gave back. We gave back gears, we spoke to the teams, and we even gave our contribution monetary. So just all that is very fulfilling, and just to understand how this opportunity could change a young man's life in Jamaica.
Where did your love for football come from?
Overall, just a sports avid lover, and football, being born in Jamaica, it's one of the first things to do. Yes, there's track and field, but football is really our love, and I think that's where it started, and just continue doing it.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to just glimpse some of the under-17 boys at the match. Can you talk to me about the quality of this under-17 bunch that you're tasked to work with?
Yeah, I mean, they're exceptional players. I mean, there's definitely some gems out there. Considering when you're not only looking into a country and looking across the world, you realize that there's gems of football players, and not only that, good young men. And I mean, the age group that ranged in this camp was from 14 to 16. And we had a scrimmage against the JDF, the Jamaica Defense Force men's team. And I mean, to watch 14-year-olds move the ball along with 26 and 28-year-old professional players, and not only that, members of the force, it was amazing. I mean, when you look, it was men against boys, but you couldn't tell by the play of football. So I think that is just tremendous, seeing the development of those players, bringing them up to the camps in North America and watch them evolve and develop. And we're going to face some challenges, but they've been really, really good.
Yeah, the Dubai player, Omar, I'm intrigued by them scouting a player from Dubai. How did he get there, and how did you link with him?
Yeah,
and who is he?
So the thing is, the social media space is huge, and obviously the advertising of it. And we're still in camp, right? The coaches haven't decided, what the team will look like. But he used to live in North America. His dad took a job in Dubai, and he literally flew over for camp, flew back, and 6 days later was back in Jamaica for camp. Yeah. And that shows the commitment of the players that are interested in playing for Jamaica in the national team. I had a conversation with a young man in London, and he's telling me that there are players that just want to represent Jamaica. So it speaks volume to what we're able to do here, and the commitment these young men are willing to do.
Yeah, and I know that the qualifiers, well, we're intrigued about the draw, which happens later this month, because that will tell us a lot more about our targets, because then we'll know who the teams that are playing against each other, so the coaches can more tactically prepare themselves for the opposition. But I think Freddie Butler, as head coach, being in Florida, based in Florida, has a good awareness of CONCACAF football and the strengths of the various teams that he will face in the region, whether it's from Central America, North America, or the Caribbean.
Yes, and let's not forget, Coach Freddie Butler was a standout player at Dunoon.
Yes,
he represented.
I remember him. I did radio football commentary.
Yes.
While he was a top player at Dunoon in the 80s.
So he was a top player in Dunoon. He represented the country on many levels. He has played in CONCACAF, and just even a note, he was the first player to score a goal from Jamaica in the MLS. And so he understands what the makeup of CONCACAF is. He went on to be the U-15 coach at Chelsea in London as he wrapped up his playing days. So he knows what the dynamic is. He's been there. He's done that. He's been here in the office and scored against Mexico. So his pedigree is well set for the team, and experience and exposure. And I remember early conversation, he told me, he's like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to have to travel with the team, because he wanted them to travel and understand what it's like to travel, to get off a plane, how to act accordingly, and not just last minute for a game. Yeah. And I think those are the preparation that will help to make us successful. And it's not just a one-year plan. I mean, this is every year. So while we're qualifying, we got to be looking at the other team. And the good thing is that our U14 team did well, so those are the next one up. So we're looking not just at 2025, but we're looking at a long, 10-year plan to continue improving Jamaican football.
Yeah, that's a great look, and I'm really happy to hear that, because the fact that the tournament, as you said, is annual gives the JFF an opportunity to keep the program going constantly. And if, as you just mentioned, the under-14s had won the Tier 1 club national CONCACAF competition a couple of months ago, and your camp includes 14-year-olds, then not only for the 2025 FIFA U-17s, but the 2026 would likely have players who are already in your camp. Correct. So it would be sort of a continuation of what you've seen there. So great that Freddie Butler has a good unit with him, and we hope to see the team doing well, and the rest of the Caribbean, because I think the Caribbean has been lagging from a CONCACAF standpoint, and we are supporting the entire region in making a bold mark on the CONCACAF U-17 playoffs. But Omar, great having you on the SportsMax Zone, enlightening a lot of the things that you mentioned on our show today, and we'll be keeping track of the Jamaicans and the rest of the Caribbean teams as they get ready for the CONCACAF U-17 qualifying coming up in a few months from now. Omar, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.